This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by Remax Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. Remax Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call Remax Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team at Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
Welcome back to Sunset Speedway Month on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. And we couldn't have Sunset Speedway Month without the voice of Sunset Speedway. Brendan Doherty is here joining us today. Brendan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great. It's awesome to have you on the show, man. This was the one we've been waiting for a while. I've been waiting for a while. I have gone on record and said that you're my favorite announcer from across Ontario racing. And really because of the energy that you bring to the calls, and that's what I want to hear when it comes to motorsport racing. And my hero is Alan Bestwick for his always amazing race calls. So I'm very curious to ask, was this something that you had planned on doing?
Absolutely not. This started with a couple of fill-in dates back in 2008, and sporadically on and off since then. I did a stint with Oscar in 14, and on and off, and then Sunset 16 to now. So I don't know, kind of fell in my lap essentially, but I just started running with it. So it's about what I've had to do. So
I absolutely love this because it's funny because we've talked to, I don't know how many people it was now, Graydon, Todd Lewis, Adam Ross, all these guys, they're all saying the same thing. No, I didn't intend on doing announcing or a pit report. It just kind of happened. And then these are the guys that are like legends now because their calls are just, you hear it, you love it. So for yourself, Brendan, what was your history with motorsports in Ontario and in Canada?
So realistically, I grew up within earshot of Sunset. So pestered my dad pretty well every Saturday to take me. We had the rule that, when I was a kid, if I wanted to go, there was going to be an afternoon nap because he wasn't dealing with me falling asleep in the grandstands. So, there were some stories. My grandfather raced modifieds on the dirt back in the 60s through Quebec. They were all based at Lennoxville, where my family comes from, and in the eastern townships there. And so he raced around there. Eventually, my grandmother said no after an incident. I don't know how real the incident was. I was told he went over a fence and against a tree, but that might have been a bit of an exaggeration from the family. But either way, at some point, my grandmother gave him the heave-ho, and he became car runner for a little while before he packed it in. But my uncle was involved with the Flying Tiger team because he's based out of Quebec, down at Riverside Speedway in Groveton, New Hampshire for a while through the 90s. And, so he'd bring us pictures and, T-shirts and, just kind of help drive that home. And, on Saturday nights when you weren't at the track, when you can hear it. I could hear the announcer some nights from my back porch, and
wow,
kind of kept me hooked. So,
damn, man.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I loved listening to like MRN and PRN, and even Indianapolis Motor Speedway has their own like radio coverage of their events, and track announcing. It's an art. It's like truly color commentary where it's like painting a picture. And I mean, the difference with radio to actual track announcing is obviously there's an audience there watching it as well. But I mean, it's kind of on you to the people that are in earshot of what you're describing, to really bring it to life and add another level to what they're seeing. So, I mean, it takes passion, and it takes a knack for it to just kind of roll off your tongue, but you have to do a ton of prep work, I'm sure. Don't you, Brendan? I mean, week to week and even year to year, as people change rides and you got to know your divisions and who's in them. What do you do to prep for that? Just like high school, studying the books?
Yeah, pretty much. I found the easiest way is I have my notes. Probably by about mid-season, I don't really need too many of them. It's all off the top of my head at that point. But even still, I'll bring them with me. I will update them, right to the end of the season, right through autumn colors. I'm still updating, printing. And I just find that's the best way. If I'm typing something out or I'm going through, on an Excel spreadsheet and I'm looking at it, it just helps drive it home that much more. So the more I type it out or the more I screw something up and have to put it back in, then that seems to just drive it home and somehow stays in here. I don't know how. I can't remember which one of my kids I'm yelling at a certain time. Much like my father, I start yelling at the wrong one. I don't have an animal. I'll start yelling for a name that's not even here. But tell me a division and a car number. I'm off with hometown sponsors, accolades, and down the road we go. But
that's, as I say, it takes a knack for it. I mean, it takes a lot to store that information up there, and as I say, articulate it as you're seeing it, more or less, and to keep it current with what everybody's seeing. And that's an incredible art, man. So props to you guys that all do that. Is there a club, by the way? Is there like a track announcers club or an association?
Well,
do you guys hang out?
Invited. No, we don't hang out. Once in a while, we'll few different people. I think Dave Bradley reached out recently. We were just kind of touching base. He was asking about the choose rule at Sunset, because when he was the announcer at Barrie, they had that for the late model division back then. So he was like, how'd it work? And I'm like, that's nowhere near as dramatic as what it was at Barrie, because there's two lanes. Barrie was like, everybody lined up on the inside, and the guy from the 11th was going to the outside front row. So it's not as dramatic. We've seen it a little bit. I think Stoddy was the first guy, about fourth or fifth. He stayed up to the outside, and it worked out. Pushed a few guys down and gained a few spots. But I don't know. There's I got invited. There's a Facebook group for the announcers, so I learned about that. And I'm gonna say I don't pay too much attention. I got so much out of my life, but when it comes upon my news feed, I'll check it out. And it's kind of cool to be in the same group with some pretty big names and guys I listen to on other podcasts and stuff like that. So totally, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to be thought of, to want to hang out with them, or even on a Facebook group. So,
and that's one of the things that I think is cool to have, even that we have names that we can refer to across Ontario and across Canada that are names that are such respected. One of the things, I think it was Dale Jr. that had on his podcast, they were talking about the importance of track announcing or just broadcast and announcing. Because for me, as a 12-year-old, 10-year-old kid, Alan Bestwick is what sold me on the Cup Series. Him and Benny in that 2002 Daytona 500 when Sterling Marlin got out of his car. That hooked me right there. Was them selling about how ridiculous that moment was.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, no, he can't do that. And when Jeff Gordon got spun by Marlin on the restart as well, that always got me. So again, it hooks you in. And I found that actually listening to Adam and Dave, same thing. It's like it hooks you and brings you in. What is it that you feel is the most important thing when you are announcing to relay to the crowd? Is it that general excitement? Is it the drivers' names? Is it what's happening on the track. Like, because I think there's a fine line between overdoing it, announcing every little thing that's happening, and kind of letting some of it play out. So how do you find that balance?
I honestly, I don't even think I could tell you. I think it just I just say words and it kind of works out. But I do find like, whereas before, like the likes of G-Force, and even now that we're using TrackTune, I wasn't really too worried about it because honestly, not a lot of people are going to hear me over the cars. But now there's people, especially with TrackTune, not even at the track, that are listening in. So you are their eyes and ears, and I feel bad when I'm making a call and I'm like straight away behind. Like they're coming off of 4, and I'm trying to describe what happened off of 2, and you're trying to keep up with it. But you try to just nuance as many things as I can. My big thing is I probably get complimented on the most is the amount I can try to squeeze sponsors in, and
yes,
and that's to me is a big part, especially of the intros. Yeah. It's just saying those sponsors, and that's what those guys want, and that's what's best. And I tell the guys at Sunset, like, hey, if you have one of your guys coming tonight, like, let me know, like, and I will hit it hard. I will, every time you're up, they're number one. And when you're on, like, if you're out there and I can get a chance, like, the 6, blah, 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 boom. And, just try to get the value. I mean, that's all this sport is. It's guys trying to get the value to get the money to go racing. So if we can show value in what they're doing and get their sponsor names out there, then that's what I can do. And I try to squeeze in as much as I can and try to make a call at the same time. And I just sometimes don't even know what I'm doing, but it flows and it works.
The fastness, I think, is the cool thing. There's a pace that you're able to go and squeeze in, because some of these guys have a lot of partners, and I find that you don't get tongue-tied. I don't know how, but you squeeze out like the number 50, and then you go straight to the next one. I'm like, holy moly, he's got, like, you're gonna be like an auctioneer or something, like, with that voice.
I love junior late models, but they have about the most sponsors per car I have ever seen. Like, I've got, I think, like 11 names on my roster for the junior lates, and it's full because, like, there's 4 rows of sponsors on each line for that. So kudos. Like, I guess it's easy to sell sponsorship. It's like a bottle of dry for your hockey team. That's probably easy to sell your friends on to jump on board with, but man, there's a lot of sponsors to say for junior lates.
Like Buddy from Airplane, the movie where he's like sweating from in the control room.
That's it. I mean, like, I felt bad. Like there was like a heat race. And I'm like, geez, like, I've had 3 laps and I still haven't got through everybody. And we're going green. Like, oh man, like.
Yeah. There isn't like enough time actually in the whole race to physically say all the words of all the sponsor names.
That's it. Like, it's crazy. It's good for them, man. I mean, hopefully the partnerships for them that as these kids grow up, and I don't say grow up, but get bigger and move into mini stocks and stuff, and they can build those relationships and carry them forward. And the more sponsors you have now, the better chance to retain some of those later.
Yeah. Well, that's an art in itself. And that's kind of kudos to you too, as you just, you alluded to earlier, that you keep your notes updated when, as you say, like, maybe somebody picks up a new partner partway through the season and they get a shout out partway through the season when they come on board. I mean, that counts for a lot. And I mean, the racer driving that car sure isn't going to forget it in either of those companies, especially if any of their reps or their staff or anybody's in the stands too.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I know what it is. I race myself, so and I know it takes money to make this happen. And you hear guys trying to scrounge for tires, and money for tires to go racing, and anything you can do to help. And if I can do my part, that's it. Their sponsors, the Speedway sponsors, keep everybody happy, and keep money flowing to the sport.
What are you running?
I raced what was the original bone stock back in the day. So for fun at Sunset.
Cool.
I had a 93 Pontiac Sunbird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I had a 1990 as my daily way back in the day.
Mine may or may not have been legal. We're not 100% sure on that one, but it won a few races at the end of the day.
Awesome. Friggin' right.
It's funny because you mentioned being a competitor. So, how has Sunset changed since you were there as a competitor? Because I think, again, to our own ignorance on this podcast, I think when we first started out, we were more focusing on the big time Pinty Series, Xfinity Cup, and it's only through doing this that we have found the gem that is weekly track racing. And
we were brought to it organically, honestly.
Organically,
and it's kind of pretty cool.
And you know what? I think we've both, I don't know, Graydon, what, but we talked about this, like we've fallen absolutely in love with these smaller divisions, these,
big time.
It really is. So I'm curious as to what it was when you were back, when you were racing yourself.
I mean, it was a lot different, I would say. I mean, for sure. Sunset was owned by Glenn Lloyd at the time, and Glenn, definitely doesn't have the money that it took to renovate Sunset into what it is today. And it was the old asphalt. It was rough. It had 2 tires. Guys weren't happy about it, but he did his best. And I road trip with Glenn. I still see him at Sunset. I consider him the godfather of bone stocks. I tell people every time I see him, and I tell them that bone stocks are around today because of that man. But we had a division of 40 cars, and I would like to say we didn't take ourselves too seriously back then. We had a lot of fun. It was, some of us probably did. I mean, I had maybe a questionable legal car, but we took it seriously. But at the same time, too, we'd go have fun. We'd all, there'd be 10 or 12 of us. We all go have a fire at the end of the night. We'd all go out, drinking. We'd do this and that, and there's a lot. I don't want to say there's a lot more camaraderie. I'm not on that end of it now. I'm not down. I know the bone stock guys down in the gravel end of Sunset, Calvin Reeser and those guys. They got the speakers going at the end of the night, and they're all down there having a good time. So, but from an infrastructure point, Sunset has changed a lot. It's there's not much left of what the old track was, other than a vague shape of it. But it's great to see how much it's evolved, and days I go back and I do miss the old track, but what we got now has done a lot for us and carried the program forward.
And it hasn't just evolved physically at the track itself. I mean, this off season in particular, the social game, it's definitely it's a noticeable change, and you guys are putting it together and firing off some great content there and getting everybody hyped. I mean, leading up to the weekend that was just now, I mean, that was great. Well done. And it's getting everybody hungry for going to the track. And Cam and I talked about this too, and Regan yesterday, the overall track experience, when fans get there, they like having the, what do we do now? And like see it what's not on the track, or when there's no action on the track, you can go out back and get like a signature meal or the signature drink over at a bar, or see some merchandise for sale. So, I mean, talk about all the changes, not just this season, but I mean, as tracks as a whole have to elevate their game now.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I kind of, for lack of a better term, just done my job for the last several years. I did the announcing thing, and I got kids and I got a life, and but I got a passion for this, and I said at Velocity,
I feel you.
I asked for permission. I said, hey, lead into Velocity, can I get the Facebook access? Can I start? And I ran with it, and it worked pretty well. We were getting guys and just dropping entries, and through the off season, Brian and Sandra, we got the team together, and it's not just me. There's a team of people that do this, and we sat down at their dining room table, and here's a list of ideas, and they were like, okay, how do we do it? They're like, we want to bring this back, and they designed the shirt. Sunset's the place to be in 2023, and they're like, that's what we want, and how do we get there? And I think we have had all but one idea shot down. So we've thrown a lot of things at the dartboard, and I wouldn't even say it was shot down. It was modified to where they were comfortable with it. So, I was a little there, and they brought it back, but everything else they have not flinched at. Do you think it'll work?
Nice.
Yep. And that's the biggest thing is they want this, and I'm sending them stuff this week, feedback and stuff, positive and some negative. And they're like, okay, well, let's adjust. Like, let's sit down and review. And, and even sitting here now, you guys bringing some stuff up. And I'm like, what? There's some things we forgot to do on Saturday that we had promised. And, there'll be an email going out after this to go, okay, we need to organize that for, Velocity Sunday. So.
Well, and this is, I think, one of the sides of motorsports that we don't really think about. And that's just, again, it's an ignorant side of a racing fan, is that we always think about what we get out of it. But what do you as track personnel get seeing so many people show up for that opening weekend? Like the crowd was phenomenal. The entries were packed. It was one, aside from my burnt arms, face, and ears.
I feel you there.
I don't ever want to miss an opening night again. And I didn't know I was going to go to this until this week, but the hype game was real. And it was one hell of a show.
And that was our biggest thing that we're going with, is we want to give everybody that case of FOMO. Yeah. Whether it worked out or not, you could have showed up and there could have been like 6 cars in the pits. Yeah. But we gave you that FOMO to get there. And we're gonna do it again for this week, and we're gonna try it every week. That countdown idea, I got so many people that complimented me on it, and we're like, and it wasn't even like, people. It was like, man, my kid every day is like, hey, it's this many days. It wouldn't even be my countdown. It'd be a driver they know, or then they would learn about a driver that I had posted. As happy as I was to hear that, I'm so happy I don't have to do that anymore. Finding 2 cars a day and scheduling all that out. I sit in my recliner. I'd get all the photo albums out, put next to me, and then start thumbing through. And I'd have people send suggestions afterwards the day of. And once in a while, there'd be a bonus round for somebody I really liked. So, but that was it. I mean, it's just putting it back out there. I mean, that's what Sunset was when we had, our boom after the renovation. We had that FOMO every week. Yeah. It was the place. We had full fields. We had everybody from across the province, all the stars. If there wasn't a speedway running, or it was a Sunday afternoon, we were the only place running, you've seen everybody there. It was like Club 54, but Ontario racing.
Yeah. That's what you want, right? Like that. Yeah. And that's when you get to show up to a racetrack, like for me, that was the hype when I walked through the garage and doing the paddock through doing my tour. And then I'm looking going, Jake Sheridan is here. Like, there's a Colton Everingham is here. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is awesome. Right. And that made me a little kid again, right? And that's the excitement that it brings. But again, when you go in and I'd never seen the junior late models before. I had never seen the mini stocks weekly. These divisions are fun. They are a blast. Now, obviously, there's an audible gasp anytime a junior late model spins, because they're kids, right? But it's kind of funny hearing it throughout the entire. Everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, right? But these kids are badass. They have no fear. It is unbelievable that Jake Spencer Walt, man, does that guy have a brake pedal? Like, it is awesome to see that. Awesome to see all these divisions, men, women, young, old. It really, Ryder White, who I didn't think was 13 years old, because he's a little guy, right?
Yeah, I think my 6-year-old, I think, is bigger. It's crazy to see him.
And he's wheeling the mini stock, and I'm like, holy crap!
I think they spent their week getting some power steering on that thing. I think they brought it out for practice a few weeks ago, and she was the old manual steering, and he's about 20 pounds soaking wet. They had some work to do, but it looked to be a much better experience for him this time around. Looks like he could. You get the wheel to turn, so power steering is always good. But an incredible job. I mean, he only had, I think he maybe did a handful of laps for what we had on the one practice session a few Sundays ago before it, snowed and rained and everything. So for him to come out and keep it in one piece and stay out of trouble and, and learn. Yeah. And that's it. He just took his time. He learned, he started at the back and that kid's got a bright future along with a lot of them. One I was impressed with for sure in the junior lates was Josh Davenport. Todd Davenport's kid. He practiced at Sunset. That was it. They came and tested. He had never raced. And he's figuring out, and he's the only one. I'm watching him and go, he's getting it down around the bottom. Mm-hmm. And he's not getting, the car's not getting upset over the bumps, and he's making passes and slide jobs. Yeah. I pretty much propositioned Todd. I'm like, so you guys are back every week, right? Like, I know you guys you're like from Allenford and Sauvel's 5 minutes from your house, but like, we want to see you every week. But come back, please.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I love seeing you, Todd, but I want to see your kid race some more.
Yeah. I mean, I love watching Todd race. Todd's a very fun racer, but man, Josh, he did spin, but he came through the field to come back, and it's cool to see that when you see the kids coming up through different ranks and seeing them race all different levels. And then again, you said you got somewhat of a ladder system within a weekly track. And I can't say enough about how impressed I was and how entertained I was. It was such a great weekend, and we're back this weekend for the Pinty Series, but we're going to make 2 stops in the Ontario Sportsman Series at Sunset Speedway as well, so we're extremely excited about that. Brendan, can you talk about some of the major events that you guys have going on this year? You've got some tribute races, some classics that you guys have put together, some special nights as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, one of those things. We threw ideas out at the dartboard, and some of those take people getting signed on. It's not just us saying we're going to do it. We had to work the channels to get approval for the Junior Hanley Classic, and that's going to be our next, our next big one. Obviously, the Bills Auto Memorial this week. We did a lot of selling for that, so we sold all the laps. We sold all the bonuses we could think of, and probably some we made up even after the fact. We're putting the next, so I mean, it's over $14,000 for the racers. We raised, on top of the purse Brian and Sandra put up, an extra $4,000 to blend into the purse.
Wow!
So
nice.
And that is our plan for the Junior Hanley Classic, to do that with the late models.
Awesome.
So that's our next one. We got a sponsor board for this weekend. All the drivers are going to sign up. We're going to raffle that off among the people that put up lap sponsorship. Cool. And we're going to do the same thing for the Junior Hanley Classic, and we're going to sell that. One of our other ones that's very near and dear to my heart is the Steve Slaughter Classic. Yeah. To honor him. I mean, my formative years of going and sitting in the stands at Sunset, where we're at Steve Slaughter's Sunset Speedway, and I've got to be very lucky to be very good friends with Jeff and Steve Jr. And now Carol and just the whole Slaughter family. I love him to death. So for us to be able to honor Steve Sr., he won't be able to be there for it, but we're very happy to be able to do that. I mean, I put me on the spot. It's just like, this is why I have the schedule in my office. I literally have it hanging up. I'm excited for monster trucks.
Yes.
I mean, that's really nothing of Sunset. Like, that's just the monster truck people coming in, and I got lucky that they didn't have an announcer, and they're like, "Do you guys know someone?" I'm like, "Yeah, bucket list." We're gonna check announcing a monster truck show. Let's check that one off the list. Cool. And that's really cool. So I mean, like, that one, like, my kids are excited for it. And that was like the negotiation. I'm like, all right, well, you're gonna hire me. I'm gonna need a few extra tickets. So, but yeah, I mean, like, that's one everyone's talking about, and it'll be very cool to have them back. And we've revamped the Tammy O's. Now the late model is going to be 100 lap instead of it being an overall event for Tammy O. We're going to have just late models, and it kind of relates back to some of what we've done this year. When everything is special, no one's special. So if every division is that, let's do it for the late models, and we're probably going to do something big for that as well. Try to get some money for that. And I mean, the NTN shootout for the modifieds, I mean, we could go down that road, but hopefully more guys come out. We've got $22,000 in points fund money between home track and NTN. So I get you might not think you're going to get the number one purse. We know everyone is thinking the 35 is going to bring it home, but hey, you're racing a full season. Anything can happen, and that's a lot of money we put up. And NTN's been great coming on board and supporting Sunset, and hopefully more guys. I know there's some guys that just aren't ready, and some guys that just didn't want to come, but hopefully we can get them out. And if you're on Twitter, get it. If you're on our Sunset Twitter page, make sure you scroll through and find Andy Camrath there. He cut a bit of a promo on the guys dodging and ducking him. So
he cut a wrestling promo. I loved it. Yeah. He cut a wrestling promo. Don't mess with NDK, right?
Put a micro camera in front of him. He'll tell you how it is.
Absolutely. He absolutely will. We had him on the podcast. He is a riot. We could go on for hours, Brendan, and that we just want to have you on because you guys do an amazing job. Like, this has been a really great thing, and to welcome us to the Speedway as you and Sandra and Brian have, Courtney, the whole team, like Jerry, absolutely amazing group of people, and to feel so incredibly welcome is absolutely amazing. And of course we're going to be back a couple of times this year. We're looking at potentially 5 trips to Sunset Speedway this year, which is 4 more than what we did last year, or 5, 3 more, I guess, in some cases. But what is it that you're most excited for this year? Because you've obviously got a ton of things coming on. I'd like to get what event you're most excited for, but also a driver that's weekly at Sunset Speedway that we should be looking to the future for. Loaded question.
I'll for sure stick with the Slaughter Classic. That one, like we're doing it for the late models, but I mean, I can tell you, and I can say already, Carol Slaughter. So the driver that is 11th on lap 11, I think I've seen in all divisions for that night. I'll have to double check with her. She told me first thing Saturday morning, but the Slaughters are even on board, looking to support that and do something special to honor Steve. So I'm really excited about that one. It's really hard because the bone stocks haven't been out yet.
True.
But I mean, Curtis Stewart had a big night. He's been around for a few years. He hasn't really, I don't want to say he hasn't put the effort in, but he's been running that same rack for the last few years, and he retooled his program. Tyler Seaboyer's back. That's a big one for the mini stocks, and out of the gate. Really, honestly, someone who really impressed me was Cole Ecker. Didn't get the result. Had the contact at the end. Ended up going for a spin. Was running 4th at the time. But I think that kid's got a lot of upside to him. A racing family, obviously. His father Steve raced, and they've been around Sunset and Stauble and Flamborough for years, and so I think he's got a lot of upside. He's got a good car. Nissan's always fast, and that was only his first time to Sunset. He got the heats in at Velocity, and he's running up front. And he's learned a lesson. I think he had a loop on his own in the heat race, but rebounded well in the future till someone else intervened. But I think he's right now one of the ones to keep an eye on from my perspective.
Nice. And there's so much to be excited for this weekend. The Bill Zardo Memorial, that's going to be a great little spectacle. And as you said, there's going to be so much, there's so many people who have chipped in to put up a bunch of bonus money for it, and all the laps and everything. The NTN Bearings 250 for the Pinty Series. We can't wait to see that. There's a lot of energy surrounding this weekend too. I mean, it's just like next week, second burst, same as the first, right?
Yeah, I think I said today, I'm going to enjoy a time when I get to go to the Speedway at like 3 p.m. and just enjoy like an evening of racing. It was essentially a 14-hour day on Saturday being at the track. I'll probably be there at like 10:30 this weekend till who knows when. APC, hurry up and wait. We're going to be there at least probably noon on Saturday Velocity, I'm going to guess, because that's just what they do. I'm throwing a shot there. I hate the hurry up and wait stuff. Sunday Velocity, that'll be another big afternoon. But yeah, about 4 weeks from now, when I can just have a Saturday afternoon would be nice. But no, I mean 3 weekends like that off the hop to start your season. I mean, just you're going from one big thing to the next big thing, and to have an opening night as big as it was, and probably our biggest opening night in quite some time, to have that sort of energy going forward, and now you get the national series in town. I mean, just and the buzz around that. I mean, it wasn't long ago that they were low teens on the ovals, and I think you guys are looking at 20 cars, if not over 20 cars, and building a lot of teams coming in. You got the guys from down east coming up now, and a lot more guys focusing, and Ontario guys. It's Quebec dominated for a while, but you're getting Trayton, you're getting Brandon, you're getting Kyle, you're getting the young kids coming up now that have been doing the late model ranks and stuff like that, and they're getting that opportunity to race in Pinties instead of needing to try to find their stuff out, show themselves elsewhere is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I'm so glad you did bring that up. We're going to stuff this in before we go here. Kyle and Trayton both have their dads as their crew chiefs in their races this year. And thanks to our friends at Quick and 22 Racing, we're going to do a little contest this Saturday at Sunset Speedway. Whenever it kind of works, everybody's got to sort of listen for Brendan, because he's going to help us on this. We're going to get a couple of fans from a couple of families, and we're going to go head to head down by the flag stand and ask some. Brendan's going to ask the questions from up in the tower, trivia questions. Fans get a chance to answer them. They get it wrong, the other team gets a chance to steal, sort of Family Feud style, and then we're going to compete first to 3 wins and get a prize. So everybody be listening and be ready for some Steckley and Lapsovich trivia questions. So sharpen up your skills. We also have on our Facebook group our contest pertaining to all the divisions at Sunset Speedway and who your favorite drivers are. So get in on that for some free stuff, because we want to get some stuff away. But Brendan, thanks so much for helping us with for this contest on Saturday, but for your time tonight too, man. This has been awesome.
No problem. Anything I can do. I mean, like I say, anybody at the track, if you need something done, we'll do our best to make time for it. And we're gonna have some time between qualifying and racing to hopefully give some stuff away, and we'll see what fun questions we can come up with. I'll be rooting through the third turn to see what history I can dig up and how far back we really want to go to the cast car days with those guys.
Yeah.
We'll have a little bit of fun. I mean, I always find when I'm trying to give stuff away, even the low ball questions I think are low ball, people aren't getting. So it's one of those. It's like like back in 1995, how many wins did Tom Walters have? It's like, I know that, but the average fan is gone. So half the time, like, can you tell me which car Samantha Shaw is driving on the track right now?
Yeah.
And it's like, just give me the number. And it's like, and you're all over the board. It's like,
that's what we're hoping to.
Yeah. We'll get some good ones, but
we're hoping to get a couple of fans, like maybe like a younger fan and maybe a parent or grandparent from the same family or something to come down, so they can kind of phone a friend right next to them, sort of thing. If there's like a stumbling Jeff Lapsovich question or a burning Scott Steckley question that the young snapper doesn't know, that maybe their elder might have a recollection or something. But hopefully it's a good way to get all age groups involved somehow or another, and give some fun stuff away.
Absolutely. I'm excited for it.
I mean, the other option is we involve the beer garden, because I definitely think having to have a parent having to run around, do a lap on Sunset Speedway without spilling their beer and then have to chug it when they get to the start finish line, that also could work very well. So we definitely have some options there. Hopefully there's not going to be too many red flags, or else you guys are going to be giving out too much discount beer. But as long as we get some music, because that's what I said to Sandra. I said, we need some music for when everybody's got to run to the beer tent to get the beer garden to get the discount beer, because that's going to make it more fun.
Yeah, we're working on it. I've got a Bluetooth setup now, but I tell you, because I use it. I like a little bit intro music when I'm doing feature intros, and
that was great.
A lot of AEW themes. But it's very hard. Like I'm juggling the laptop.
Though, eh?
Yeah. Oh, Hangman Page, some Kenny Omega.
I've heard a couple of them.
Some FTR. We're good. I got it all.
I was going to say, you're not going to go WWF. You're going to go AEW. That's going to alienate some people right now.
I think I broke out the Roman Reigns at one point. So we got the tribal chief in there. But yeah. There's a lot going on, like trying to juggle the track tune and make sure we had internet connection issues. So I was getting like Snapchats and messages like, "Hey, we can't hear you," and I'm like, running inside while I'm also still trying to announce and trying to play music and trying to. So we're working on it. We'll get there. We'll come up with some stuff as the season goes on. But first night trying to juggle a few things. I think I got to start looking for an intern or something to start managing all the technology end of things.
Man, the whole group. A for effort, because it's been great to see the hype on socials, and I didn't make it for the opening weekend, but I'm sure going to be there this weekend. Can't wait. Going to come upstairs and bug you when we get there.
Awesome. And again, I mean, like I get to be the guy that you guys invite on, and I get to talk about it. But there's no one person on this team. It's Ben, Courtney, Mike Brown, Brian, Sandra, everybody that's involved in the processes of making that Speedway run. I mean, and you got to remember, like, every Speedway is a small business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's two people technically on the payroll year round, and the business is only drawing money 6 months of the year, right? So, Brian and Sandra are doing a lot of stuff in the off season, and we're all pitching in, and everyone on the team is pitching in to make it work. And it goes a long way to show, and it makes it more I'm saying it makes it more worthwhile, but it makes it a lot more enjoyable when we have the atmosphere we had on Saturday, and that's what we've been missing. And to have that back felt amazing.
Well, we can't wait to see you this weekend, and we definitely wish you guys all the success in the world all season long.
I appreciate it and look forward to seeing you this weekend.
That's Brendan Doherty on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.
Thank you.